A child sits alone in the dark. He does not cry anymore. He has forgotten his name. The world outside moves on, feasting, celebrating, building a new dawn. And he is buried alive in the heart of it. A king without a crown. A son without a mother. A boy without mercy. This is not a story of revolution. This is a story of a child the revolution forgot. His name was Louis Charles. Born in the spring of 1785, in the golden halls of Versailles, where chandeliers hung like frozen stars and every surface gleamed with the light of 1,000 candles. He was the second son of Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, a child wrapped in silk, kissed by sunlight, adored by a mother who called him her joy, her treasure, her heart. He did not know what hunger meant. He did not know what cruelty was. He laughed in gardens where fountains danced and flowers bloomed in colors he could not name. He chased butterflies through hedge mazes. He held his mother's hand as she walked him through rooms filled with art and music and the hum of a world that seemed eternal. He was 4 years old when his older brother died. And suddenly the weight of a kingdom fell on shoulders too small to carry it. He became the Dauphin, the heir, the future king of France. But the future was already burning. The revolution came like a storm. It did not ask permission. It did not care about children. In October of 1789, a mob marched to Versailles. Thousands of voices screaming for bread, for blood, for justice. They tore through the gates, climbed the walls, broke into the palace where a little boy slept. His mother grabbed him in the chaos, held him close as the sound of gunfire echoed through marble halls. They took the family to Paris, to the Tuileries Palace, a gilded cage in the center of a city that hated them. Louis Charles did not understand. He asked his mother why people were angry, why they shouted such terrible things, why men with pikes stood outside his window, watching him with eyes full of rage. She held him, whispered that everything would be well, but she was lying. And perhaps in some deep, quiet place in his chest he knew it. For 3 years they lived as prisoners pretending to be royalty. The boy still played, still smiled, still believed in the way children do that someone would save them. His father tried to teach him to be strong, to be a king. But how do you teach a child to be a king when the world no longer wants kings? In June of 1791, the family tried to escape. They fled in the dead of night, disguised as commoners, racing toward the border, toward freedom. Louis Charles felt the thrill of it, the hope. They were captured at Versailles, dragged back to Paris in a carriage surrounded by soldiers and crowds that spat at them, cursed them, called them traitors. The boy watched his father's face through the window, watched it break, watched hope die in his eyes. In August of 1792, the revolution devoured what was left. A mob stormed the Tuileries, massacred the guards, hunted the family through smoke and screaming. Louis Charles ran, his mother pulling him through corridors slick with blood, past bodies he was too young to understand. They were taken to the Temple, a fortress in the heart of Paris, a prison with walls so thick no sound could escape. The boy was 7 years old. He would never leave. At first they were together, the family. Louis XVI, Marie Antoinette, their daughter Marie-Therese, and the boy. They lived in a few rooms, guarded day and night, but still together. Still a family. Louis Charles clung to his mother. She taught him to read, to pray, to sing. She told him stories, held him when he woke from nightmares, promised him over and over that they would be free. But outside, the revolution was hungry. In December of 1792, they came for his father, took him away for trial. Louis Charles stood at the window, watching his father disappear down the tower stairs. He did not know it would be the last time. On January 21, 1793, Louis XVI was executed. The boy did not see it, but he heard the cannon fire that announced it, felt the silence that followed. His mother dressed him in black, told him his father was in heaven now, but heaven felt very far away. The revolutionaries called him Louis XVII now, King of France, but he was not a king. He was a child, a prisoner, a symbol of everything they wanted to erase. In July of 1793, they came for him again, tore him from his mother's arms in the dead of night. She screamed, clawed at the guards, begged them not to take her son. He cried out for her, reaching back as they pulled him away, down the stairs, away from her voice, away from everything he had left. They locked him in a room below hers. She could hear him crying through the floor. She pounded on the stones until her hands bled, calling his name. He called back. 4 days, 4 weeks, until one day he stopped. They gave him to a man named Antoine Simon, a cobbler, a revolutionary, a man tasked with erasing the king from the boy. Simon was cruel. He forced Louis Charles to drink, to curse, to sing revolutionary songs mocking his parents. He cut the boy's hair, dressed him in rags, called him Capet instead of his name. He made him forget, made him hate, made him repeat lies about his mother. Terrible, vicious lies that the revolution used against her in court. The boy did not know what he was saying, did not understand the words they put in his mouth. But his mother heard them, heard her son, coached and broken, accuse her of unspeakable things. It destroyed her. Not the guillotine, not the trial. Her son's voice, twisted into a weapon. Marie Antoinette was executed in October of 1793. Louis Charles did not know. He was alone now, entirely alone. Simon left, replaced by guards who did not care, did not speak, did not see him as human. They locked him in a small dark room, boarded up the windows, left him in near total darkness. No one came, no one spoke to him, no one touched him. He was 8 years old, and the world abandoned him. Days became weeks, weeks became months. He stopped speaking, stopped moving. He lay in his own filth. The guards did not clean him, did not bathe him, did not care. His body began to fail. Rickets twisted his bones. Scurvy rotted his gums. Tuberculosis filled his lungs with fluid. His skin erupted in sores that never healed. He was dying, and no one noticed. The revolution had bigger concerns. Wars to fight, enemies to execute, a republic to build. A child king rotting in a tower was irrelevant. In 1794, Robespierre fell. The terror ended. New men came to inspect the temple, to see the prisoners. When they opened the door to Louis Charles's room, they recoiled. The smell, the darkness, the sight of a boy curled on a filthy mattress, skeletal, covered in sores, barely breathing. They did not know who he was at first. He did not respond to his name, did not look at them, did not seem to understand he was human. One of the men later wrote, "I have seen many horrors, but nothing compared to this. A child destroyed, not by violence but by indifference." They moved him to a better room, brought doctors, tried to save him, but it was too late. Louis Charles died on June 8, 1795. He was 10 years old. The official cause of death was tuberculosis, but the truth was simpler. He died of neglect. He died of isolation. He died because no one cared enough to save him. His body was buried in a mass grave, unmarked, anonymous. His heart was removed, preserved in a jar, passed through hands and years and revolutions until it was lost, found, lost again. A kingdom died with him. A bloodline ended. But more than that, a child died alone in the dark, calling for a mother who could not hear him. There are no statues of Louis XVII, no grand monuments, no songs sung in his memory. History moved on. The revolution became legend. The republic became empire. France rebuilt itself on the ashes of kings. And somewhere in the silence, a boy's voice faded, asking why, asking for help, asking to be remembered. He was the lost king, not lost to war or revolution or even to death, lost to indifference, to a world that chose to forget him while he was still breathing. And perhaps that is the cruelest fate of all, to die while the world outside celebrates, to scream into darkness and hear nothing back, to be a child, and to be forgotten. His name was Louis Charles, and he died alone,